Hello, everybody. Welcome. I guess this isn't a an episode of the Marist Red Fox Reflections. This is more just an update. Um, I wanted to invite my co-host Bob Missert on tonight and chat with a recent alum, Chris Crawley, class of 21. Crawley is right now down in Florida, and he's participating in the U.S. Olympic trials for the U.S. national team. So I thought that was really cool. Wanted to get the lowdown on Chris and his experience with training and preparing for that event. It's not every day that we have an alum that's competing at that level. But before we jumped in with that, I had two action items. One is we have a race this weekend at MIT on Saturday, and I wanted to get our race times out. We're going to be racing the varsity eights at 9:50, the second varsities at 10:10. These are AM, and the third varsity at 10:30 AM. We'll be in Boston. We'll be launching and landing at the MIT Boathouse, and we'll be racing in the basin on the Cambridge side of Boston. So if anyone's interested in stopping by for the race, we'd be happy to have you out. I know a number of parents and alumni are planning to stop by and watch some racing. Feel free to hop down and cheer the men on. There is going to be an attempted Twitch stream. I'll send out a link in an email and I'll attach it to this video. So we'll hope that will work out better than the last time. My second action item, I did a great video earlier this week recognizing all the people that participated in our Giving Day, and I forgot to mention and thank two key people in that video outside of the group that I mentioned. The first is on this call. His name's Bob. Most of you know him. Bob's been running the show for the alumni. And I really wanted to recognize Bob. Bob did a lot of the background work behind the scenes to help make our Giving Day possible. Bob was helping to find our lead donors and to bring them along with us, who became a really important tool on the Giving Day, and was also in contact with a variety of different groups and individuals from different generations. So thank you, Bob, for all the work that you do in general year after year, but especially this year's Giving Day. Bob was an instrumental piece of our success. And the second, who's not on the call, but who will go down as the unsung hero of the Giving Day, not just for rowing, but across the board, is Chanel Marino, who works in our advancement department. Chanel was instrumental in our own small Giving Day last year that we did just with the rowing team. And her effort level and her expertise and just kind of ongoing energy really propelled the event, not just for rowing again, but across the board for the college. So I know in the lead up to that event, Bob and I were very busy, not getting a lot of sleep, and we only had one team to deal with, and Chanel was dealing with all the teams and a number of other organizations around campus. So thank you, Chanel, for the work that you did. If anyone from advancement is watching, Chanel needs a raise. So thanks for everything that you do. So without further ado, I want
to put a quick shout out to Rita Rogan, who works with Chanel. She came in and did a fantastic job helping out, and it was a total team effort. And Campbell's not going to sit there and thank himself, but this is something that coaches don't have to do. They don't have to do it, and to this extent. And we couldn't do what we're doing if we didn't have the support from Campbell since 2017. That's it. I mean, it's people have to understand that this doesn't happen without Campbell Wood. So thank you, Campbell, and it's appreciated by a lot of people.
Thanks, Bob. Well, without further ado, let's chat with Chris. Chris graduated in 2021. So Crawley, before we jump into Olympic training, I want to go back a number of years to the first day you arrived on Marist campus and talk to me like you were not a recruited athlete for Marist. So talk to me about your pathway in high school, and then how you ended up selecting Marist, and then how you ended up deciding to row at Marist.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. Yeah, my pathway was kind of interesting. I had started rowing for Our Lady of Lourdes High School in Poughkeepsie, New York, born and raised, you know. It was funny, I was reflecting on it. It was in the back of my 8th grade classroom where this guy, Doug Pafumi, invited me because his brothers had joined the rowing team at Lourdes to have me come try out because they were recruiting members. So that's how I originally got started. I went through their pipeline for 3 years. I didn't row my senior year due to differences with coaching staff. So I wasn't expecting to row when I got to Marist at all, actually. It was happenstance that I found Campbell on campus on orientation day, and me being 5'0" and 200 pounds at the time, I was like, oh, I guess we'll give it another go. And Campbell informed me I'd probably be cut within the week, which I still hold that over to his head to this day.
I probably
But
didn't
yeah,
tell you that like the day I saw you.
no, maybe not. But
Maybe a weekend.
a week, yeah, that's about right. But ever since, I've been a thorn in Campbell's side, and yeah. Uh, Freshman year Marist 3V, snuck my way into the 3V, the infamous meat wagon that got third at NIRC against all odds. From there, snuck my way up into the 2V the next year, and then became pretty much a secure member of that boat for the next 2 years until COVID happened, and we lost our junior year. Came back senior year with eyes on the 1V. I was fortunately elected captain by my great teammates. I was very appreciative of that over COVID. And then yeah, we went to the IRA. I went in the 2V, I believe. I think that was the 2V. And yeah, that was about my career. My long story short, that's 8 years. Just there. And
So talk to me about your first year at Marist. You came in as a walk-on, and you were you were bottom of the pile guy. You were short, you weren't a lightweight yet, and you were not pulling amazing times. What was like the first piece of motivation, or the first thing that made you decide like you really wanted to stick with this and kind of take things to the next level?
oh, the first thing at Marist, I would have to say, is I remember one of my first 6Ks that we were doing in the house. And like you said, I was not in shape. I was definitely not lightweight. I was pushing 2 bills back then. And I remember we were in the middle of our like 2K or walk on or not 2K, 6K, excuse me. And I remember Andrew Gollin. I was like 22 something minutes into the erg, and that was a pretty long time to be on the erg for a 6K. And I remember him coming up and slapping the side of my erg and like encouraging me to go on, and I was like, okay, this is where I belong, you know. and that was super inspiring to me to, keep going, to keep training, and, even lending that to other guys that were younger than me, throughout my career at Marist, and even now. So,
A shout out to Andrew Gollin. That's my nephew. He's a motivator. He's a
Yeah,
motivator.
Oh, yeah.
he used to get wild on the big erg days.
Oh yeah.
He was fun to watch. So, you mentioned the meat wagon, Crawley. Talk to
Yeah.
us about the meat wagon.
The
What
meat
what year did the meat wagon take place? What was it? How did it all go down?
Well, the meat wagon was a group of us. Yeah, it was a bunch of erg hammers, I would say, we all were pretty rough around the edges when it came to our rowing. Most of us, had pretty faster erg scores, but when it came to moving a boat, it was kind of hammery. And somehow for one race we came together at NIRC. It was a 7-boat final, and we were dead last off the line, for 500 meters about. And just one by one, we picked off Cruz, Wesleyan, WPI, BC, Tufts, walked our way right up in the 3rd place. You know, didn't catch Hobart, unfortunately, but as Mike Tatey would say, do you have a bronze medal? I don't think so. Uh, but yeah, that boat was another prime motivator for me, Um, it was just a bunch of guys, having fun. Nothing was really expected of us, we were definitely the underdog in that scenario, and that's the exact position I personally like to be in. No, the expectation is, you do what you do, and then if you pull something off that's super cool, then it just makes it even better, in my opinion. So, definitely loved rowing with those guys. It may have not been the fastest boat, but one of the more fun lineups I've been in my time rowing.
So, I'm gonna insert one of my recollections. I think it was after Chris's sophomore year. That I remember that summer, Chris was one of the only Poughkeepsie locals. And so I think after sophomore year, you had some fun experiences and you were like, okay, I want to be competitive and kind of move up into the 2V out of the bottom boats. And we had talked, and like, how tall are you, Chris? You're like 5'8", right?
I'm 5'7".
5'9". Okay, 5'7". So,
Yeah.
and we were, I remember our conversation being kind of like, well, you're not going to get any taller, or if you are, it's not going to be a lot taller. So if you're going to get faster, you're going to have to start gravitating towards this lightweight rowing mold where, you're a smaller guy, but you're doing really well for your weight. And Chris came in every single day that I was around that summer. And I think I was coaching. And he was down there every day. He would go out in the single in the morning before the sun came up when it was nice and cool out on the river. And he would go out for about an hour, hour and a half and row in the single. And then once the sun came up and it got hot out, he would crawl into the erg bay with all the doors and windows closed and none of the fans on or anything. And he would erg for another hour and a half. And I would go in there afterwards, and there'd be this lake of sweat on the floor. And you had to have done that all summer. Like what motivated you? Was it just wanting to get into the next boat up? Was it teammates? Like, what do you think was pushing you to go to that level? Like at that time, did you know that you wanted to row at the level you're at now? Or like what was kind of driving you?
So I would say it's a combination of a lot of those things that you mentioned. Um, I definitely wanted to get into the next boat up. I never wanted to, just stay in one place. I always wanted to reach the next level. And the place I'm at now, competing at this almost Olympic level, this Olympic hopeful level, has always been a dream of mine since I started rowing, since my novice year in high school, as I think it is for a lot of rowers. So that always stuck in the back of my mind. It's like, okay, what are the pathways to get to this level, you know? And then on top of that, being surrounded by such a supportive team that was willing to, help me with, showing me ropes where I didn't know, especially when I was first starting the scull. I remember Tad Bindas being a huge proponent and, helping me along with some sculling stuff, encouraging me not to just sit on the erg all summer, you know. And then, to top that all off, I've always been one that wants to prove other people wrong. So when someone tells me that it's probably unlikely that I'm going to do something, I always take that as a bet against me. Um, and I like to prove that bet wrong, you know. So there was a couple times in my career where I was told, you'll probably be a good 3V guy. You probably won't sneak into the 2V. And I took that as a challenge to, get to the 2V. And then, so on and so forth. And here we are now, you know, it's a current day. But yeah, I would say it's a combination of a lot of things, that all come together to make this beautiful, dream happen.
So junior year comes and we got booted off the river because of COVID, which was tough. And then, you came through senior year and senior year was really hard for a variety of reasons. And then all of a sudden you've graduated in the middle of a lot of drama with kind of COVID happening. And it seemed at the time you were pretty determined already to kind of keep rowing. So because I think that's probably the hardest moment for most post-collegiate athletes is that transition moment. How did you decide? Did you decide right away what you wanted to do? Did you have goals right away? Or did you just kind of have a vague idea that you wanted to keep going? Like what did that look like?
So so immediately after college, I would say I didn't have an idea. I had just secured a nice little job with IBM as a software engineer, which was super nice. It kind of allowed me the freedom to like make these decisions. The first summer, out of college, we had just started Queen City Barge Club actually. And we had done a little racing, John Massaro, some Will Holt, and couple other guys that were, staying in Poughkeepsie for the summer. We were all just, hanging out, taking boats out and doing some fun little races. We were going to the Independence Day Regatta and we went to Club Nationals in a quad. And this was a little like fun thing that we did this summer. And that kind of made me realize that I wasn't ready quite yet to hang this up. I didn't really get the ending to my collegiate career I wanted. Yes, I did get to go to the IRA and the 2V I was in that we raced. That was another beautiful boat. Friends with all those guys and girl Alicia Johnson or Coxon. Um, Really great boat to be in, but it wasn't the fairy tale ending I wanted necessarily. So that's when, come the fall, I'm like, okay, what's the path forward? Well, it's going to be sculling. So I got to start training hard in the single, is what I determined. And I was also busy looking at the previous summer's lightweight worlds boats. You know, there was a lightweight quad specifically out of Riverside where I'm currently at now, where I was looking at these guys' scores and I'm like, okay, I'm 170 now. I'm not necessarily out of the ballpark of these guys' scores. I probably could hang with them, right? So I was like, okay, well, first things first, I need to figure out the single so I can hang with them on the water. These ergs, ergs don't float. So I spent a fall, going to different head races and training the single. And that's where this dream started to really unfold. Like the next chapter of this journey started to unfold for me. I went to the head of the Housatonic, which was my first race in a single ever, I think. Yeah, first head race in a single was the Housatonic. I did the head of the fish, just some smaller races that fall. And then, moved on to summer racing. Fortunately enough, I did some coaching, volunteer coaching for Marist College, who was gracious enough to let me use equipment while I coached in order to pursue this dream. So I will always be grateful and very thankful for that. And that proceeded into doing some summer racing as well, and eventually led into the next fall where I did my first head of the Charles, where I placed, I think, 21st out of 70 entries or 80 entries in the club single, which was a huge achievement for me. And yeah,
the same day you rode for us in the 8 too, right?
I did, yes. Infamously, I did double up for that race.
That's all hearsay.
Yeah.
I did not.
But yes, so that was a very successful fall. It was a great 3 seasons in the single, and I finally started to feel like it was maybe time for me to spread my wings and join up with the guys that I had been looking at 2 summers previous, to really put this dream into action, to really let it unfold. So I ended up at the Pan Am Trials, which is the trials race to go to the Pan American Games. And that's where I met Casey Houshall, who is one of my current teammates at Riverside. And I asked him, I was like, hey, would you be able to introduce me to your coach at Riverside? I would really like to join up with you guys for the upcoming season and start training, training with you guys and competing with you guys for these boats. And he was like, absolutely. And that's where I met my current coach, Dave Lefevre, who is he's a multi-time national team guy. I think he was in the Coxed pair a couple times, a really, really awesome dude, really awesome coach. And from there, he invited me up to come join them. And yeah, rest is kind of history.
For those who
Came
don't
up
know, Riverside's in Boston.
Yep.
He was watching this.
Yep, Riverside Boat Club. It's actually in Cambridge, Massachusetts. It's on the other side of the Charles. Don't say it's in Boston. They
I
get
was gonna
mad.
say, yeah.
But yeah.
Apologies, Cambridge.
But yeah. So I ended up doing a training trip before I moved up to Boston. Oh no.
This was
That's
hard to find. This
that's
took me a
horrible,
minute.
Campbell.
This is
Campbell, why?
Chris. This is freshman year in the stroke seat of the freshman novice 8 at the head of the fish.
Campbell, really gonna
And,
do me like that?
I don't even remember the names of all the guys in here.
I
That's recognize
Dylan,
JC Fernandez in 2 seat.
Dylan Luskin 3 seat,
Dylan.
Ian Soderlin and Bow.
Oh, that's
and
Ian. Okay.
Yeah. And I believe I think Matthew Kretz was our coxswain for this race, I believe.
One of my old Crow coaches.
So I just wanted to show everybody, this was Chris then. Chris was 5'7", and he came in at right about 200 pounds.
Yep.
And this was him last year. rowing at the same event, or rowing at the world trial in the pair
Yep.
at lightweight and looking like Rasputin or something.
He's a beast.
But yeah, I mean, you can just tell the difference in the physique over all those years of training. It's pretty incredible.
Oh yeah. For just for context, in the first picture, I was about 200 pounds. At Paris trial last year, for lightweight, we have to make weight, and for it, you have to make an average of 70 kilograms or 154 pounds. Your boat has to make average, and no one's allowed to be above 160. In that photo, I'm about 148 pounds. So it's a well over a 52-pound weight loss
Yeah.
right there. I currently, for this trial, I am sitting at 154 exactly, more or less.
So
We
talk to us about this trial. Do you guys do you weigh in every day? Do you weigh in every time you compete?
So every day we race, according to FISA rules, because we follow the Olympic and the World Rowing rules. You weigh in 2 hours before your race and a minimum of 1 hour before your race. So you have an hour window to make average. And if you don't make average, you get unlimited chances to try to sweat out your weight before the hour is up, which
Okay.
I witnessed a lot of people have to do that this morning for our time trial. Fortunately, my double partner John and I, who was also my pair partner last summer, did not. We were well under average, which we're actually trying to gain some weight now for our semi on Saturday, so we can have a little bit of an edge over our competition.
So, because the viewers won't know all of the context, Chris, give us kind of the lowdown, like what is the exact event that you're at, and what does the winner earn? Like what is the next phase, and how does that tie into the U.S. national team's like Olympic program?
Absolutely. So this race it's called Olympic Team Trials. Basically several boats that did not earn automatic qualifications at the last World Championship now have a chance to go to Lucerne, Switzerland at the last chance regatta to earn qualification spots for the Olympic Games. So this regatta allows U.S. rowing to select a crew based on whoever wins to be sent over to Lucerne in order to race at the last chance regatta, which will earn them the right to go race at the Olympic Games. So
And
the
what
winner,
would they have to do? What would the winning crew have to do in Switzerland in order to qualify? Is it the top team or top two, or?
believe it's based on event. I believe different events have different numbers of qualifying spots.
Okay.
I believe the lightweight double, which is the event I'm competing for, is I think you have to win or it's top two in Lucerne get to go. The previous quadrennial, the lightweight double from the U.S. did not earn a spot to go. So this year, everyone is returning with kind of a fire to see if they can earn that spot. Because this is, lightweight rowing is, at its end for the time being. This will probably be the last year we see a lot of lightweight events on the world stage for now. We're hoping there's conversations being had that our coaches and even some of us athletes are a part of to hopefully revive and create our own sort of own world championship. Just a little, I won't reveal too much because nothing has been set in stone yet. But
So talk to us a little bit about that, though, because some people might not know, like, why is lightweight rowing kind of diminishing?
So lightweight rowing has been on the out for a while now. It started with the Olympic Games, as all things kind of do with the sport, cutting down events. The lightweight double is the currently only lightweight event at the Olympic Games anymore for the men and women. Currently at the World Championship, there is the lightweight quad, the lightweight single, the lightweight double, and then the infamous lightweight pair, which is the last lightweight sweep boat for us.
And there was for a
And
while a 4 without an open or a straight 4, but that went away a couple years ago.
yep, and then there was also a coxed 8 that also went away. I believe 2013 might have been the last year. I actually row with one of the guys I row with at Riverside was in that 8 that medaled at that World Championship. He's a very nice dude.
Former Marist athlete was also in there. Brendan Mulvey was
Yes.
a member of that 8 as well.
Yes.
Cool.
So lightweight rowing, definitely.
So you
on
guys
its
are
way out.
devising nefarious plans to keep it going.
Absolutely. There's a lot of interest among some countries to have our own world championship for lightweight rowing, and the conversations are being had. We will see what happens in the grand scheme of things.
You probably do
It's
it
gonna
a lot cheaper without visa involved.
That is yes, all the those are conversations
It's a
that
big
are
discount
definitely
right
being
there.
had. Yeah.
So
But we will see.
give us the lowdown on you raced this morning, right? Give us a quick debrief of this morning's race. How did it go? What did you think was your best race? What's next?
So this morning we had our time trial. It was a 1900-meter time trial with the 100-meter lead-in to it. John and I were placed second to last in the seating, so we were the second to last boat to go, which is kind of a tough spot to be in because, you know, you don't have many people to chase and you're not really being chased down by anybody. You're also catching a lot of other boats' wakes that have already gone ahead of you, so a little bit of a tough spot to be in, but we both felt like we handled it well. The crew behind us and the crew in front of us were our own guys from Riverside, the Riverside A entry, which was Alex Twist and Sean Richardson, who was the last year's Pan American Games lightweight double. We've been training with them a lot. And then the quad or the double behind us was Casey Howshaw and Ashton Knight, who were both in the lightweight doubles in 2020 or the lightweight quad in 2023 and 2021 respectively. So all 4 former national team guys, and you know, very fast. So we were hanging right with them, which was really great for us. John and I have not earned. We're the only Riverside HPG members not to have a national team kit yet, and that's only because we are so new. We're both the young guns of the group, so we take pride in knowing that we can hang with these guys. So yeah.
About as a side note, tell us a little bit about John, your partner. Where's he from? Where did he row? Like quick background.
Yep. John started rowing in college at the University of Rhode Island his sophomore year. He is an Accra boy, a club rower. He holds that badge with pride. His only sweeping experience is in the lightweight novice 4, which won Accra's in 2018, I believe. So when we raced the pair, he only had the lightweight novice 4 that he raced in, and then our pair, you know, as his experience. So we did pretty well for that. And then he did a lot of sculling after that, went to several U23 lightweight camps. Very, very nice guy. He is a doctor. He's a pharmacist, Dr. John Mannion. So very intelligent as well. He's been a great friend to me. It was another reason I came up to Boston, was I wanted to find a doubles partner, and I am extremely blessed to have found such a good partner and friend in John, and he's actually sitting inside right now. planning his honeymoon for his fiance because he is getting married this year. So
Awesome.
yeah,
Congrats, John.
absolutely. So yeah, so John and I, we had a plan for our time trial today. We didn't want to show too much of our hand. We kind of knew the field. The only unknowns were a Purdue crew, a Purdue College crew that had entered, and two Undine boats. Undine is a club in Philadelphia, for those that don't know.
Yep.
And our goal was to make sure that we didn't end up in a semifinal with our other two Riverside boats, because going a little forward into the semifinals, only 3 boats from each semi will get to advance to the final. So there will be a boat from each semifinal that gets their last day will be Saturday.
Okay.
And all these boats these are all national team level boats. These are all elite level rowers. And it's,
So what, you have semifinals on
Yep.
Saturday, right?
Mhm.
And finals are on Sunday.
Yes.
And what time are those?
Yes, let me pull that up real quick. I
It
do
might
know
even
them.
it might even say right on our app here.
It might.
Yeah, here
I
you
do
go.
have it.
8:50 and 9 o'clock. So your heat is at 8:50.
8:50 a.m. and then 9:15 for the final on Sunday. And those will be, if you're curious, they will be live streamed on Peacock and the NBC Sports app. They will be televised, which is very cool. It's the first race that I have ever raced that will be on television. So it's a very exciting one for me.
Come on now,
Please, someone
Carl,
record it
you've
for
been to
me.
the IRA, they live stream it on YouTube. That counts, right?
Yeah, but this is television. This is different, Campbell.
You're a movie star now.
Oh, yeah. That's why I got the haircut. Got to look good for the camera.
Well, that's awesome. What else do we need to know, Crawley? Anything?
No, I don't think so. The goal, place top 3 in the semifinal. We're hoping to see all 3 Riverside boats in the final. And then it's a showdown, for, who gets to the finish line first. This has been one of those dreams that, racing with these guys. I mean, mostly every name listed here has been on a national team, been to a Pan Am Games, has represented the US in some way, shape, or form. And just to be, with these guys and the train with these guys and even just share like the same water as these spaces, it's further than a lot of people I know thought I would make it. And I know it's further than I thought I would ever make it. So just being here, no matter the result, is a huge, huge blessing for me, I would
And
say.
then tell us about this regatta ends. If you're not the top boat, what happens next?
So, what happens next is people will reevaluate their situations. Some people will retire. There are a lot of guys that have been doing this for years that might be looking to this to be their last race, at least at the national team level. After those decisions have been made by each individual, I know for John and I personally, we have our eyes set on the lightweight quad and the lightweight pair again. I know a lot of guys.
That's for the world championship this summer,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And in an Olympic year, is that world championship somewhat different?
Yes. So it's very different. It's a lot smaller. This year it'll be hosted in St. Catharines, Ontario, in Canada. And it will be a combined world championship with senior U23 and U19. And for the senior team, which is what I'm competing for, it'll only have the lightweight quad, the lightweight pair, and the lightweight single. since all the other boats will be in Paris competing at the Olympics. It is still just as big of a regatta, as it normally would be at Worlds. They all actually call this Mega World, since all the U19 and
juniors and the
U23.
U23, yeah.
Yeah. So it will be, super cool, and it's a course very close to, it's a course close to home. It's an 8-hour drive. So it's very nice.
Yeah,
You
that's
know,
What is it, Chris? What's the date on that?
that race, Worlds will be in August this year, the first week in August. I can find the exact dates for you and provide those to you, and we can shoot that out to the alumni later. I don't know the exact dates, but trials is the first week in July, which is very exciting. It's earlier this year than it was last year.
yeah.
And
Where is the
then
trial? Is that on Lake Mercer again?
always on
That's
Lake
in
Mercer,
Princeton,
New Jersey.
for anyone interested.
Yep.
Try
Yeah,
to see that.
please come out if you're in the area. We love the support. Two teammates of mine, Jordan Irving and Liam Cusack, came out to watch me last year. I'm very good friends of mine. I was super appreciative of them coming out. It was, great to see them, so
All right, so
please
I
come
have
out.
2 final questions. The
Absolutely.
first question is, if you could go back and tell little baby Crawley, who came in the door on day 1 at Marist, if you could give him one piece of advice, what would it be?
That's a tough question, Campbell. Don't change a thing. Don't change a thing.
Tell that guy in China not to eat that bat.
Yeah. Go all in, do this full bore, you have this dream, go at it with 100%, I wouldn't change a thing.
All right, and for the current athletes who are here now or aspiring athletes, like, give us a piece of advice or a small thing, like a little mental tool that you used during your time to, you're uniquely motivated or uniquely disciplined. Like what was something that you did to help kind of fuel that fire continuously to keep training all the time?
Yeah. That is also another toughie, because I have a couple that I like to use. I think the biggest thing for me was always knowing that my opponent, whoever I'm racing, whoever I'm lining up against, is no different than me. They are mortal. They feel the same pain as me. They feel the same, mental games, mental gymnastics that you put yourself through while training. Outwork them. That they're going to be training. I like to say training to kill you. That's metaphorical, obviously. Outwork them. That's the sport is something that what you put in, you will get out. And there is always somebody out there that is training harder, you're training longer than you. And if you want to beat that guy, outwork him, outwork her, That's what I would say. Outwork your competition.
Cool.
That's my biggest thing.
I got a question for you, Chris. So you had a run at coaching when you were at Marist. Did you see, it's a 2-part question. Did you see kids that you were coaching that reminded you of yourself when you were at Marist?
Absolutely. And they are, they're still currently on the team. Two guys that come to mind immediately. Axel. I won't try to pronounce his
We're
last
getting
name because I'll
actual
butcher.
shout outs. Let's go.
Yeah, and Liam Clem, two athletes that, they came in as walk-ons and they had this drive and motivation to work hard. And to this day, I still keep up with those guys. And they are doing, good work. And there are other guys that I'm also impressed with.
Yeah,
But
I was
those
gonna say
two,
shout out to Chon. Crawley loves
yes,
Chon. So
yes.
for anyone out there who knows Chon, you
I
know
don't think
what
that's
I'm
his
talking
name, but yes, all those, there's been many Marist rowers that I coached, but those two specifically I mentioned because they reached out and they were active in asking questions and really wanting to learn. But there were many athletes as well that I
Yeah, I
it'd
would
be a
say,
list too long.
speak from the alumni standpoint, I can tell you, as speaking on behalf of the alumni, we love those guys. Axel, Liam, all the guys in the current team. The energy coming out of the current team is phenomenal. And as alumni, we love this current team, and we're looking forward to the day when they can join us on the banks of the Charles, rowing in our alumni eights. And that Axel, get yourself ready, man, because we're looking forward to that. Last question for you, Chris. When you eventually do hang up your oar, do you see yourself coaching?
Hmm.
Because I think you'd be a great coach.
The thought has crossed my mind. I did enjoy coaching the four that we had at Marist that won NIRC.
Yep.
The year after I graduated, or 2 years after I graduated, I did thoroughly enjoy coaching them. Despite lightweight rowing going away, I still think I have a couple stones to unturn before I hang it up.
Sure.
And then I have also been eyeballing a run at the World Championship for triathlons. I've been keeping that in the back of my head. So I think I have a couple other endeavors before I end up in a launch coaching, but I
You're
wouldn't
not done
rule out the
feeling the pain
possibility.
yet.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm still, I still have that drive for, punishing myself with this stuff. So I think it'll be a little bit before I hang it up and sit in a launch and start coaching, but I definitely won't rule out the possibility. And maybe I'll end up back in Poughkeepsie one day, my alma mater. We'll see. You never know what'll happen.
Well, we're super proud of you, man. We wish you a lot of luck this weekend. Get everybody to tune in to Peacock.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. And I just wanted to mention that I probably should have brought it up in some of my previous podcasts and various things we put out, but we went on our winter trip this year, and Josh and I needed a third coach to come along with us to help out with some of the driving and looking after the athletes and training. And we asked Chris if he was available to come down to Florida for our winter trip. And he did not hesitate at all. I think it took him 10 minutes checking with his boss at work that it was cool. And he had a ticket booked for Florida with the team. And so we're super grateful, not just for, this year, but for all the coaching work that Crawley's put in for the team for free. And it really means a lot to the team. He is one of many, many Marist oarsmen in our past who have stepped up and helped to coach the team in the years following their graduation. And that's a tradition that goes all the way back to the team's founding in the 60s. And so I know it meant a lot to the guys. Chris was able to get a bunch of training down there as well, which was cool. We had a couple of days that we were doing seat racing with 4 fours across. and Chris came out in the single and did all of the seat racing, every single piece in his single side by side with the fours, and was doing really well and beating the fours in some of the pieces. So that was really cool for the athletes on the team to not just have a recent alum joining us on the trip as a role model, but actively being out there training at that level. Is cool for them to see. And there have been a number of other alumni who've raced at this level, but again, it isn't super common. So we'll be looking forward, Bob and I, to having some of those guys join us for one of our reflections podcasts. I know we probably need to get Mulvey on one, and Andrew Hashaway and Bob Sneeden. There's probably a good national team reflections podcast out there in the ether, but cool. Well, thank you both for joining me. Thank you, Crawley. Good luck this weekend. And just to remind everybody, racing will be at 8:50 on Saturday. And then what time's the final again, Chris?
9:15.
9:15 on Sunday, and they'll be aired live on Peacock and NBC Sports. So if you're connected with any of those streaming services, or if you have a cable connection, you probably can hook up a live stream of the race, which would be cool. And if you're just looking to see the results, there's a results page on Row 2K in the results section with the Olympic trials. So you can check that out there and spy on Chris and all his competitors. Thanks, Chris. Have a good
Well
night.
done, Chris.
Hey, go get some sleep.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for having me. I
Good luck,
appreciate it.
man.
Thanks,
Proud of
Bob.
you, bud. See you guys.
Have a good night, you guys.